When I first ever played with Norman, the bass player in the Blockheads, I took a I taped it. I took a 4-track down and recorded our jam. And after about 45 minutes, it was going really well. And I went, fuck, and it wasn't recording. And he was like, he goes, have you got all that? And I went, no, it wasn't recording. Should we do it again? And he went, well, you will never get that again. And he was right. It was really funny.
I'm glad it's not just me. Right, for the benefit of those listening at home, I'm going to quickly explain that, to be honest. We've done this meeting earlier in the week, and yeah, Gremlin's got in the PC, so I've got 30 minutes of great visual, not a scrap of audio for whatever reason. So that's the sort of gentleman you are for agreeing to do this again, so I do really appreciate it.
No.
Thanks for joining us on Moshville Radio. This is the Classic Rock Show. Before we get into all things Floyd and Saucerful of Secrets, do you want to just sort of give us a bit of background about yourself, really, what bands you've been in and that sort of thing?
Yeah, I mean the most prominent thing I did was I worked with the Blockheads as an Ian Jury,
Yeah,
and that was for about 12 years. After Ian's death, when all the rats left the sinking ship, I sort of jumped aboard and co-managed them really with Mickey Gallagher, the keyboard player, but I was kind of like a bit of a Renaissance man. I sort of did a bit of everything and played guitar, managed, get them gigs, do the set lists, all that stuff. And I suppose to go on from there, I left the band, got married. My wife and I got married, moved to France. Didn't know what I was going to do next musically, but we were renovating and building a house. And one of my really close friends, Guy Pratt, who's a bass player with David Gilmour and has been with Pink Floyd since Roger Waters left. So he played bass on those big tours in the 80s and 90s. Was over near us playing with David, and I went to go and see that gig and realized how much I missed playing guitar. And he came back a year later again, and while I was watching that gig, which is in an amphitheater in a place called Nîmes, I just thought I'd love to play some Pink Floyd music with Guy, but there's a hope in hell he's going to want to play Comfortably Numb and all that stuff because he's playing it with the governor. So while I was thinking that, and I was in an amphitheater, I thought of Pompeii, and I sort of realised there's all those old tunes that never get played by David or Roger Waters when they go out and play. I just thought it could be interesting to do that. And then because I was thinking of Guy, I was then thinking, well, why don't we ask Nick Mason, the drummer from Pink Floyd? And I told Guy the idea, and he said it's a great idea, but he'll never go for it. And I sort of went off for about a month, then went back to him and said, I can't get the idea out of my head. How do I get it to him? And Guy said, write it out properly, and we'll go from there. So I did, and he sent it off to Nick in an email, which I saw, which said, this might be mad, but I thought you should see it. And about 3 hours later, Nick replied, not mad, ... interesting. And here we are.
Brilliant. That's a great story, to be fair. So yeah, to go into that in a bit more detail, I mean, how did you actually get the balls rolling on that with the Saucerful with Nick?
So we set up a meeting, which actually at that point in time, this is 2016. So they were about to release, which was actually really good for us. They're about to release the Pink Floyd early years box set, which has got lots and lots of old alternate, live, well, not alternate live versions, live versions of tracks that haven't really been released before then, and lots of unreleased things on it, all from I think around about 65 up until 72, which was exactly the era that I was looking at. And Nick was doing some press for that, and then he had the their Mortal Remains, which is the Pink Floyd traveling exhibition. So he was busy with that. But we arranged to meet up about sort of, February 17. So it was just Guy, Nick, and myself. And at that meeting, we had a chat about it all. Nick said he'd quite like Gary Kemp to be involved, who actually is, one of Guy's, Guy and Gary are best friends.
Right.
And Guy put forward Dom Beacon, our keyboard player. And we never auditioned anyone. It was just the people in that room and the people that were put forward. So it's always been quite, Guy's the common thread in the band. We all just get on. We'll trust each other. And that was it. I mean, we didn't actually get into a room until something like, I think it was November that year. I mean, Gary and I got together 2 months after that first meeting with Nick, sort of in April. We got together just to make sure we could have an idea, or rather management would have an idea of how much it would cost to get this thing off the ground. And then we booked in some, like launch shows. And those were in Dingwalls in London and the Half Moon in London in Putney. And then we went on tour that year, and since then we've done 175 shows since then, all around, North America and Europe, and been to Australia.
Yeah, you seem to be quite constantly on tour, to be honest. So obviously very busy. I was lucky enough to see you in Birmingham, and like one of the things that stood out to me was the relaxed atmosphere on stage. There was smiles being thrown about on stage and all that sort of thing. It seems like it's just a natural bond, probably the best way of putting it. You didn't have to audition anybody, and it sort of just all came together for you.
Yeah, and it's sort of become our shtick that we all, everyone says, oh, they look like they're enjoying themselves. We are, and one of the things that enables that is when we choose songs. I even had had one today, one that I thought we were going to be doing has suddenly become, I don't like it. But what we usually do is, if someone doesn't like a particular song that's been put forward, we just don't do it, because then I'm sort of very mindful. Well, we all are, not just me, but you're mindful of the fact that the audience can see if someone's not enjoying playing something. Especially if we all look like we're enjoying ourselves, and suddenly this one's come along and someone looks serious or whatever, but you can't lie to an audience, they can tell. So that's one of the things. We always sort of, everything in the set is something that everyone likes.
Yeah. And when you're out on tour, I mean, do you guys? I never understand, never can quite imagine what a tour must look like backstage. Do you guys hang around with each other? Do you go and play golf, or
don't play golf? No, I mean, I think what we tend to do is we tend to go out and, if we're in a city, we'll just find what's going on in that city, or maybe a bit of architecture, or a museum, or something. I mean, it could be a church, or it could be like, the KGB museum that we went to in Latvia, and sometimes we don't even arrange to meet up, because, you might feel that everyone wants to go off and do their own thing. But then what happens is we all end up in the same place anyway, No, I mean, it's quite we're probably quite a cultured lot. But, I've almost had my fair share of looking at churches for now, I think.
So there's now smashing up hotel rooms and throwing TVs.
No. I think we're all a bit old for that.
I don't know if you've ever been asked this one before, but obviously you guys are all very talented musicians. You've all got history in music. Is there ever a temptation to get in the studio and record anything, whether it be re-recording some tracks or something new?
I think, I've been asked that before. I think there are other things to be getting on with. I think if we were to re-record something, maybe that would be if it was for, like, I don't know, like something like a video game or something like that. I don't know if the world needs another version of an old Pink Floyd song to be put out commercially by us. I think live versions is fine, but I don't know about re-recording something. Um, and if it was something like original, I think the issue with that is, what do you do? Do you sort of write a pastiche of what you think Pink Floyd sounded like then, and we try and update it? I don't know what you do. And if
Yeah,
we do, considering we've got, Guy and Gary, who've both written very popular, I mean, like, songs. I mean, Gary obviously, you know, is known for being a Spandau Ballet, so he's known for writing True and Gold and, Cut a Long Story Short and all those tracks. And Guy wrote, Ain't No Doubt by Jimmy Nail, which was number one, and
didn't know that.
he co-wrote Vindaloo, with Keith Allen.
Really? Okay.
So like, what would we do? Would we end up writing Vindaloo? I mean, it's kind of it's an odd one. I don't know how we do that, but maybe if someone um, enlisted us to write some original film music or something like that,
Yeah.
maybe that's how it could happen, I
Yeah,
think.
someone give you an actual project sort of thing.
Yeah,
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 yeah.
yeah.
I mean, like I said earlier, you're really busy. You're always on the road. Obviously, you've got a ton of UK dates due to start. What other countries are you going to be taking in on the tour?
So we're doing UK. We're going to Belgium. Um, this is an awful one. I don't know. We're going to Belgium, Italy, France, Germany,
Right,
and Slovenia. Maybe somewhere else as well. I think it's about 35 shows from mid-June to the very start of August, I
right,
think.
okay. And
Past
then,
that, there's nothing. Um, there's nothing in the book. There's nothing in the book. I mean, we haven't decided that that's the end, but there's nothing in the book. I think certainly with Nick. I mean, Nick was 80 this year. I mean, Nick probably doesn't want to be looking at his calendar and then going, "Oh, in a year's time, I'm going to be in America." It's probably more of a, let's see how I feel in August and see if I want to put something in for
yeah,
5 or 6 months later or something like that. It might be more like that. But
yeah,
but there's no sort of end in sight, as it were.
okay. Yeah, that was going to be one of my questions. To be fair, like, so what? Because
Yeah.
you're still selling out constantly, so there's obviously a big demand to see you. So it was, one of my questions was going to be, what do you see happening next? But I see what you're saying. I think he probably doesn't want to put,
Yeah.
yeah, that's fair enough. Back to you a little bit. I mean, personally, what was your personal musical influences apart from Floyd?
Well, everything I like and liked growing up was through my parents, and that was, my is a huge Richie Blackmore fan. So, he was quite, when I said I wanted to get, like a black Strat, well, actually like Eric Clapton's and David Gilmour's, he actually got me a white one, like Richie Blackmore, but so I sort of grew up listening to a lot of Deep Purple and Rainbow and Santana, um, um, ZZ Top. I mean, I suppose what we nowadays call classic rock.
Yeah, yeah,
That's why the Allman Brothers Band, Doobie Brothers, all the Foreigner, all that kind of stuff.
yeah,
That's when Bob Seger and the Silver Bullet Bands all come back now. Joe Cocker, all that stuff. That's what I was growing up listening to. And then when I started playing guitar, I just really got into blues. I mean, I was like quite a precocious 13-year-old blues purist.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, that was a background really. I suppose that's probably why I fell into wanting to play guitar, because that's all guitar-based music, isn't it,
Yeah,
really?
of course, yeah. Did you ever, was it ever a dream to play alongside the likes of Nick and what have you with
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit like that movie The Commitments, when the guy's in the mirror pretending he's being interviewed by Terry Wogan. It's that of course you sort of daydream about playing with these people. I mean, that's that thing I said in we shot the concert we did at the Roundhouse and put
yeah,
it out as a film and the soundtrack. And in the film, I actually say, when I first played with Nick, it was interesting because he'd never played with me before, but I'd been playing with him for 30 years,
Yeah, yeah,
and you do when you're sitting in your home, sitting in your bedroom playing along to someone, you're playing with them,
yeah, of course. Yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Amazing. I'll do some quick fire questions if we can. Um,
Yeah.
your favourite Floyd song?
My favorite floor is this one you're going to play, or is it
Yeah, yeah,
um yeah, so just to be different, I'm not going to say Comfortably Numb, which is really obvious. I think I'm going to say there's a track that I've been listening to quite a lot that's on the early years box set, and it's actually called Love Scene Version 7. And I think it's from, do you know what? I can't remember. It's obviously, it sounds like it's from one of the movie soundtracks they did. It might be from the movie More, actually, I think it's from. And it's not, it's well, whether it's in the film or not, I don't actually know, but it might even just be an alternate take that's on the early years. But it's a lovely acoustic track. I love that. If you're looking for something more mainstream, um, I mean, you can't go wrong with Comfortably Numb, I suppose, even though I said,
it's that
but
performance.
a live
Yeah,
version. In fact, even like the latest live version that David did, probably in Pompeii, is probably one I'd go for listening to.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Brilliant. Yeah, I always love the one Pulse. To be honest,
Yeah,
oh,
Paul's
you
great.
can't
Yeah.
beat it. Favorite non Pink Floyd song?
I'm going to give a shout out to my old muckers, as I say. And it's actually by Ian during the Blockheads, and it's on their album Mr. Love Pants, and it's a track called Better Roses Number Nine. And actually, the reason it's called Number Nine is because when Ian wrote it, it was called Better Roses, and his publisher told him there were already loads of songs called Better Roses, and he said, "Well, find out how many that there are and make this the last one." So that's why it's called Better Roses Number Nine. It's a great track though, good funky track.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll find that one out.
Cool.
Favorite venue you've played in or would like to play in?
My favorite venue I played in would have to be the Albert Hall, um, because when I got my first guitar, um, my family, we actually lived opposite the Albert Hall, and I could see the stage door from my bedroom. So obviously, that's another one of those things where you dream, playing somewhere or with someone, and that was obviously a dream, and I got to do that a couple of years ago, and we're doing it again next month. But also, um, there was also the one that I mentioned earlier, which was when I went to see David playing in Nîmes. We actually ended up playing there, and it was almost to the day. It was something like 3 years to the day that I came up with the idea for the band, and there I was playing in that arena, which
That's
was
mad.
pretty crazy. Talk
You've
about
also you've also
circular
played with
moment.
Dave, haven't you, as well?
Well, yeah, yeah, well, um, Guy had his 50th birthday, and he asked me to sort of take charge of the band and what they were playing. And so basically we had lots of his mates playing who he'd played with, people like Chris Spedding, Gary played as well. And David. And so I played what did I do? We played Arnold Lane, I Put a Spell on You, and the old is it Temptations, My Girl, I think, but we called it My Guy.
Oh,
And David also sprung on us, well, when we played that night. He just looked around and said, "Follow me," and we played Teddy Bear by Elvis Presley, which was
oh yeah, yeah,
quite funny. Yeah, so I played with him there, and then obviously, well, what was interesting about that was everyone who's in the Saucers played with David that night. Nick wasn't there, but we actually we were actually David's band, sort of, fleetingly that night. It's quite funny.
oh wicked. I'll put in for a because it's my dream is to photograph there. And I've put in for a photo pass for David Gilmour more there. Trying to get tickets today. no hope. You got no chance.
I've seen a lot of people unhappy that they couldn't get tickets. And there's
Yeah,
only what, 6 shows, I think.
six
Um,
shows. There's so many people want to go, and Ticketmaster was having problems as you'd expect, but never
as they
mind.
always do. Yeah, yeah.
Fingers crossed. Um, Someone you'd like to share the stage with? Is there anyone you'd like, even if it was just for a song or something like that?
Well, I'd love to have shared the stage with Aretha Franklin, but yeah, there's loads of people. I mean, if it, another guitar player would probably be, I suppose it'd probably be. I think it'd be really interesting to share a stage with Richie Blackmore because he's so interesting just to
Yeah,
see what he's not even if I was playing guitar, just to see what's going on with all the eye movements and everything. Oh yeah, there's plenty of people. I think I'd probably choose someone like Annie Lennox actually. What's
oh
like,
yeah,
someone like a lady with a great voice. I really like Annie Lennox's voice. Um, yeah, yeah. Actually, there's a lady who sings now, singing backing vocals with the Rolling Stones, called Chanel Haynes, who I think is fantastic, and I wouldn't mind. Love to play with someone like that.
yeah,
Actually,
yeah. Right then, Lee, I've took up enough of your time. I really do appreciate your patience with this, and
don't be silly. It's fine. It's
no,
fine.
I really do. Just good luck on the tour. Thanks again. Really appreciate your time, and speak
No worries,
soon.
mate. Take care.
Cheers.